Welcome back to HPP, the podcast that covers college basketball and the NBA draft inside and out. I am Rich Harris, and thank you for joining us again. Today, we're going to do another interview series. As I said before, we've had a run of good luck in terms of getting interviews, and this episode is going to be truly hidden gems. All three of these players are in contention, or actually in a good position to make March Madness, but also are among the best players in their conference. We're going to start off with Koby Brea of Dayton. Then we're going to move on to Tre'von Spillers from Appalachian State. And then lastly, we're going to finish with Nick Davidson of Nevada. It's a great group of guys. Stay tuned. And also, we will be putting this full episode on YouTube with each guy's highlights, or some of their highlights. So you can check that out if you want to see the visuals. Alrighty, our next guest is a wing for the 16th ranked Dayton Flyers and is one of the top shooters in the country, and that is Koby Brea. Koby leads all D1 players with a three-point percentage of 48.7. He also ranks second in the nation with a true shooting percentage of 70.2. By the way, that statistic is usually dominated by people like Zach Edey, true shooting percentage.
Oh, wow.
So you're second in the nation in that. You also have the third best plus minus rating in the A10 at 7.5, and you're averaging 10.4 points, 3.9 rebounds, 1.1 assists per game while shooting at 50% from the floor and 86% from the free throw line. Welcome to the show, Koby. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, man. It's a pleasure to be here. Get a chance to talk to you, talk about some basketball and stuff. So just appreciative of this opportunity, man.
Yes, and we're very glad to have you. We've been trying for a while. We always love to have Dayton guys on the show because your fans are tremendous. I mean, I swear. I mean, they're better than Duke fans. They're better than
100%. I'm so glad that they're getting the recognition. That people like you are able to recognize it and see it. Because me obviously being on the court and being around it, like I've known it. My whole time here in Dayton. Like I love our fans. There's nothing like it. But just to see that other people are recognizing it is really amazing to see.
Yeah. So let's talk about you a little bit personally before we dive into the team and everything. But both of your parents are from the Dominican Republic, and you're eligible to play for the Dominican Republican national team, which had great success this past summer in the FIBA World Cup, led by Karl Anthony Towns. And I found out in the summer of 2019, you actually played for the under-17 squad.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So do you, it's definitely an up-and-coming program. I assume you also have the opportunity to play in the United States if you wanted.
Yeah.
And we definitely always seem to need more shooters. I'm serious. We get all these guys that just want to, go to the rim. We don't have enough shooters. So do you plan on continuing to play for the Dominican Republic or the United States?
Yeah. They're definitely, going to continue to represent, the Dominican Republic. It's the country that made me, honestly. And, my parents are from there and everything. So I feel like, I just got to pay my respects to them and, just put on for them as well, represent them and, just try to take them back to being at a good place in basketball. It's not our main sport, but, we're having a lot of success, with a lot of previous players. And we're trying to, just keep it going. So I just want to be one of the many.
I'm wondering, what is the number one sport? Is it football or is it baseball? It's baseball.
Yeah. So growing up, I've always loved basketball, but everybody around me, they wanted me to play baseball. That's the main sport over there. And they're like, oh, it would be like, you have such a great height, to be a pitcher and this and that. And I tried a little bit, but I never really enjoyed it. Basketball's always been my thing, so I just stuck with it.
Yeah, well, good, because you're pretty darn good at that. So you're going to have to bear with me on this question because I'm going to go through the history, even Dayton's history, a little bit before you even came there. And you joined the Flyers one season before the team's brilliant 2019-20 season that was cut short by COVID. By all accounts, you would have been a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. You had proven that year that you could compete with the best of the best. That the star in the team was Obi Toppin, of course. And it's rare for a mid-major to get, be a number one seed in the tournament. And of course, COVID shut everything down. Since then, it seems like you guys. Oh, and by the way, I talked to Dwayne Cohill.
Dwayne Cohill.
Yeah, I talked to him last spring, and he was saying that he still thought about it to that day. It's like it never left him.
I can only imagine. Just be in their shoes with the kind of year that they were having. So
right. And so since then, you guys have kind of seemed to have been snake bit. It's just been injury after injury, and part of that, you've even been a victim of injuries. So, and then even this season, 7 minutes into this season, Dayton fans must have been pulling their hair out. Malachi Smith, your starting point guard, goes down for the season.
Yeah, so, that one hurt.
Yeah, so I got to ask, though, I have to think on some level, there's a positive spin to this. And that there's something that maybe has come out of it to make you guys tougher. Maybe you could touch on that. Do you think there's anything that has come positive out of all this bad luck?
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, it hasn't been the greatest of roads for us. Just with the previous seasons with the injuries and like COVID, like you said, and it's been a lot, but we try to stay positive through it all. Me personally, that's my main thing, from any negative, there's always going to be a positive. And to me, it was like, all right, yeah, I'm going through this whole, injury process and everything, but it's a better way for me to grow from the neck up, mentally, learn the game more, evolve as being a leader. And, just giving myself the opportunity to kind of do those things that I wouldn't be able to do if I was still playing on the court. So I think, the injuries, like you said, it made us tougher. It gave this team some scars that we needed. That, for this year is like we have a lot grittier mentality. Like we come from not the greatest of seasons. We have something to prove, not just in the A10 but nationally, and we feel like we got the right guys to do it. And I know, like you said, Malachi going down, that was a tough one for us, but we kind of used that to fuel our fire even more. Like we lost a brother this season, and that's another reason why we gotta continue to do the things that we're doing.
Right. So as a redshirt freshman, you won the A10 Sixth Man of the Year. And if you look at your numbers from that season, which were nice, but you're just blowing those numbers away this year. I mean, it's not even close. So I would think, assuming you qualify, because they always have weird rules about Sixth Man of the Year, but that you would likely be a lock to win that award this year. And also you should very likely make the all A10 team. And my question is, still coming off the bench, would you rather start, or does that not really matter to you because you're getting starter minutes?
Yeah, to me personally, at this point in my career, it doesn't really matter to me if I come off the bench or if I start. I remember my first time, taking that role, which was that year that you talked about, coming off the bench was like a big hit to me. I was kind of like, man, like I want to be a starter. I want to be a starter. Like I want to come and start the game. I want to play a lot of minutes, this and that. And unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. But over time, I've kind of just learned to embrace that role. And I'm at the point now where I feel like, whatever the team needs is what I'm going to do. And from day one, after my injury coming in this year, my coaches felt like that was the best thing for the team, for me to come off the bench and kind of be a spark plug, which I think has worked out pretty well because some games we've had like some slow starts and, I could come in and kind of help us a little bit. So I've just, learned to accept the role, and I've enjoyed it. It's pretty good. I feel like I'm doing well with it. And like you said, I'm still playing on a decent amount of minutes or a good amount of minutes. So I just try to make the best out of it.
Okay. And so what the Coach Grant basically, and this is something that's common in the NBA, actually. You'll see like Tyler Hero for years, came off the bench, even though he was probably one of the best scorers on the Heat.
Yeah.
And I think the theory is, and maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think
Mhm.
the theory has always been, if you throw all your top guns out there at once and they fall flat, who do you turn
Yeah.
to?
Yeah. True. True. And that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Is that what Coach Grant is thinking? Is that how
Yeah.
it?
I haven't. If I'm being honest, like I've always been the kind of player that it's like I'm always willing to do, what the coach want. So when he brought it up to me, I never asked for an explanation or anything. You know what I mean? I was kind of like, whatever y'all need me to do, that's what I'm gonna do. So if y'all want me to come off the bench, then that's what I'm gonna do. And I've kind of just like I said earlier, just kind of ran with it. Whatever the team needs is what I'm willing to do.
Interestingly enough, two of the top freshmen in the country are also coming off the bench. And
Really.
the two Kentucky
Uh,
kids,
Reed
Reed
Shepherd.
Shepherd and Rob Dillingham,
Yep. Yep.
they're probably the two best players on Kentucky, but they both come
Mhm.
off the bench.
Yeah,
So
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure, what the philosophy is behind it, but I feel like it works out for certain teams, and certain teams might need, those kind of guys in the starting five. So I think it's just about the situation that you're in and stuff like that. But it's worked out well for me, so I can't complain.
okay. So how would you describe playing for Coach Grant?
Oh, I love him, man. He's a great man, really really strong man. I respect him in so many levels, even off the court. But on the court, like he's really positive, and he tried to figures out his guys and just put them in positions where they're able to do what they do best. And for me, like with the whole shooting and everything, he knew since day one that that's kind of been my strength. And throughout all this time, he's kind of just put me in positions where I'm able to do that to help our team, and he does that with the rest of the guys as well. So.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so you've I think you just said that, Coach Grant always recognized you as the shooter. And I think,
Mhm.
observers like myself have
Mhm.
that's the first thought when we
Yeah.
think about you. But what has happened this year for you to go from being a good shooter
Mhm.
to being possibly the best shooter in the
Yeah.
country?
Yeah. Honestly, I think it was just a big confidence thing for me. I feel like I've always been a good shooter, but this year, with everything I went through with injuries and everything, when I finally got to touch the court again, it was kind of just like I was just so grateful, just to play the game again. It was such a long summer, and it really made me go through every workout harder, and every opportunity I got to get on the court, like I really worked and worked and worked, and I it felt different to me because it kind of like it didn't just feel like a regular workout anymore. You know what I mean? It's like it kind of felt like I was doing something that I wasn't able to do for such a long time, and things like that. We often take for granted. And since that whole experience, I feel like I haven't took any moment, any minute on the court for granted. So I think that's really what has made the difference from last year to this year.
For those who don't know, you played hurt all of
Mhm.
last year. You played in pain, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then they put supporting rods in your shins.
Yeah, yeah. So they put rods inside the bone of both my tibias just to give him more support. I had stress fractures, so just to avoid that kind of injury and just make it more stable and strong.
And they are they going to be with you for life?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I have screws as well that might come out eventually. I'm not like I'll talk to the doctors maybe after the season and see what they think. But as of right now, I haven't had any issues with it.
Nice.
So as long as that stays like that, they should be good at staying.
That's great. That's great to
Hmm.
hear. So I want to ask you a question about your shooting form because I've watched a lot of film of you,
Hmm.
and I think you have one of the, I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you. I just think you have one of the prettiest forms,
Thank you.
out there in college basketball. One of the things I notice is you basically from wherever you catch it,
Mhm.
be it at your waist, be it
Yeah.
at your chest, or
Mhm.
maybe even a little. Well, maybe I don't think I've ever seen you catch one
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
head high, but if you catch it here or even at
Mhm.
the waist, the ball just
Mhm.
goes straight up. There is
Yeah.
no coming down with it. It's just all
Yep.
one motion.
Yep.
And one of the things I wanted to ask you is I've seen you, and I know other players do this, and I never really thought about it before, but I'm watching you this week, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, huh, you don't have the dip, you don't need the dip, but
Uh-huh.
you crouch. Sometimes
Yeah.
when you're wide open, you'll get in a crouch. And then
Uh-huh.
again, if the passer puts it on the money, you'll go right from the crouch into the shot.
Mhm.
Why the crouch?
Yeah, so like you said, with the whole dipping and the keeping it wherever it is and just going straight up, that's something like I really worked on this year, just knowing that, obviously teams scout against us and against every individual player. And for me, it's like, they don't want me to shoot. So I know that the closeouts are gonna be a lot faster. And so one of the things I worked on was just being able to wherever I catch the ball, just being able to take it straight up, like eliminating any time that I could, on my shot. And like you said about the crouch, I think that's more like if I have time to really get comfortable in my shot,
Right.
then I'll go to that. That's just the most comfortable kind of shot that I can take.
Okay.
I could
Yeah,
take
and
my time, do what I got to
right.
do, and then take the shot.
That's what
But
I
obviously, when I have somebody closing out on me or something like that, I'll try to eliminate
right.
that.
I see you doing it when you're on the weak side. If
Hmm.
the ball's over on the other side and you think it's going to end up to you, you get
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
And it's a thing of beauty, though. I mean,
yeah.
to see you just go from the catch into the
Yeah,
shot,
I appreciate it.
well, that's going to make you some dollars.
And about the head, that's what's being worked on now. So just gotta continue to evolve as a player, as a shooter, and
Right,
eliminate any time. There's gonna be times when they're not gonna be able to throw the perfect pass. So you just gotta be
right.
able to catch it and still shoot it, and be efficient with it. So.
So I may surprise you here. I
Mhm.
don't know if you know this. But if you go into Synergy and look at your rankings, the analytics just love you. You rank seriously, bear out. I mean, you are one of the most efficient offensive players in the country.
Mm.
As an overall score for points per possession, 99th percentile. So that's
Mm.
out of like 3,000, 4,000
Yeah.
guys, and you're at the
Wow.
99th percentile. And
Wow.
then you rank no worse than the 95th percentile as a jump shooter, as a finisher around the rim, as a
Mm.
scorer in transition, and
Mm.
as a scorer when handling in the pick and roll.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean 95th or higher.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So with that said, what do you think is the most underrated aspect of your game? I mean, everybody talks about your shooting, but
Yeah. Yeah.
what don't they talk about? What are they missing? What aren't they
Yeah.
noticing?
Yeah, I think just that I feel like I'm a lot more than a shooter. I think just for what this team needs, sometimes that's the role that I'm given. Just to have somebody that's able to stretch the floor, make things easier for other guys. But I feel like I'm able to do a lot more than that. Like I feel like my ball handling is very underrated, which I often use a lot to create space for shots and stuff like that. But in my system and in this team, I'm not the kind of dude that's going to come off of pick and rolls every possession, try to make something happen. I'm
Right.
just very, opportunistic when the chance comes for me to, be aggressive and come off a ball screen and score, or coming off of pin downs and whatever the case is, I'll try to take advantage of those moments.
Okay. And what would be the next phase of Koby Brea? I mean, in terms of what do you think? Like, if you could wave a magic wand and right now say, "I want to be better at this is
Yeah.
what I'm gonna, or this is what I'm gonna work on next year. This is
Hmm.
definitely where I want to improve." What would that be?
Yeah, definitely. I would say just finding ways to get to the rim. I feel like another part of my game that's not really seen a lot is my athleticism, and I think just sometimes it's a little hard for me, to show that. And so I think this would be a good summer, a good opportunity for me just to work on getting to the rim and finishing over bodies and just displaying my athleticism.
Okay.
Hmm.
And Dayton has now put a lot of guys in the pro ranks,
Hmm.
either at the in NBA level, G League level, and in Europe. A
Yeah,
lot of Dayton guys out there now.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
are you still in touch with them? And what kind of feedback do they give you?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been able to communicate too many with players that weren't here while I was here.
Hmm.
So I've talked to Jordan Cyber a couple. He's a really good dude. He's helped me a lot in ways. But some guys like Jalen Crutcher and Ibby Watson, they were here while I was here, and
Right.
so those are probably the main two that I'm able to talk to and just get some feedback from. And they just they show a lot of support, and they really enjoy seeing my growth because they saw me when I first got to college, and they continue to see me now. So just seeing how I've evolved throughout these years, and these are dudes that they're making money playing the game, and
Mhm.
they were once in the same uniform that we're in. So if I could take anything from them, I'm always willing to learn.
Yeah, I miss Jalen. He was a pleasure
Oh
to
man,
watch. He was a
that man
pleasure
is
to
a
watch.
problem, man. He's a problem on the court.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So you're not the only Flyer this year to step up in a big way.
Mhm.
Which of your teammates has surprised you most and said,
Oh
I mean,
man,
who's made that, really big leap? And you're like,
yeah.
wow, that's really,
That's a hard question, man, because we have so many great players on this team, honestly, and I feel like that they've gotten so much better, from last year to this year, just working in the summer. But I think, just Nate Santos, like that man, just coming from not really playing to, he's one of the guys on our team that play the most minutes. And he's very efficient. He's doing his job, and like it's just been amazing to see him. I grew up with him. We played in the same AAU team, but he went through an injury, so we weren't able to play on the court at the same time. But I was around him a lot, and seeing him go to Pitt and not really see the minutes that he wanted and be able to really play that well, and then to see him come here and just do what he's doing, it's amazing to see.
yeah. I've seen Nate take over games. I mean,
Hmm.
just totally take over
Hmm.
games. It's been very, very impressive, with you, Duran, and Nate. I mean, I would,
Hmm.
you were the three, I think, the three main scorers.
Hmm.
And you kind of all three of you go about it in a different way, which
Yeah,
is
and it's
also
crazy because like you say that we're the three main scorers, but this team is like it's full of scoring. Like
that's
it's
true,
just that it's just that on any given night, like it could really be anybody. Like my roommate Kobe Elvis, that man,
right?
like when he gets it going, he gets it going. He's a problem.
Right? No,
We have
no, I was
Javon
just laughing. I was just thinking about you, walking down the hall and someone yells, "Hey, Kobe, which one of you turns around?"
Bennett.
uh,
But yeah, and then Javon Bennett also like he gives us sparks at times where he could really get it going as well. Enoch Cheeks, like just because of the things that he does on the defensive end, sometimes his offense is very underrated, but he's able to be aggressive and get to the rim and score at will. So we have so many guys that can honestly put the ball in the rim. It is crazy.
and Javon, I mean, he, a little guy, but boy, where would you be without him? Once
Hmm.
when Malachi went down, he
Yeah.
didn't, he probably expected to play about 10 minutes a night this year, maybe
Yeah.
less,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
less. And now, now he's out there almost 30 minutes a game. So
Hmm.
good
Nah,
on
yeah,
him.
I'm truly just super happy because I feel like he's grown in such short amount of time. Like to be given that role, like at the speed that it was given to him, like first game of the season, and it's now like here, take the keys. You're gonna have to run the team.
Yeah.
And he's done like really well with it. But I still feel like there's a lot of room for improvement. He's really young, so I think he's only gonna get so much better.
Yeah. None of the top six are seniors, right?
Mm.
The two, you and Kobe,
Yeah, me and Kobe.
Duran's a junior, right?
Yeah, DeRozan Jr. Yeah, it's really just me and Kobe. Hmm.
Well, you're not you're a junior,
I'm a
right?
I'm a redshirt junior, but academically I'm a senior,
Right,
so I
right.
consider
Okay,
myself.
I got you. All right, got a couple more questions, and
Yeah,
mostly about the team and their situation. So,
yeah.
this season you guys have wins over LSU, Cincinnati, St. John's, SMU, St. Bonaventure, St. Joseph.
Mhm.
Most experts are saying, you're in the tournament. At the same time, you this is funny. You trail
Mhm.
two other teams are ahead of you for first place in the
Uh,
conference.
yeah.
Richmond and Loyola. And and I hate to be bearer of bad news, of course, but you guys have lost two of your last four. So has
Mm,
there been a drop of intensity because you hear all this talk? They're in the tournament, they're a lock to
mm.
make the tournament. And how important do you think it is to finish on a high note?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's been a drop of intensity. I just think like there was a couple of things that we just had to figure out as a group, and this time right here, this little break that we had in between our last game and Davidson coming up, I feel like it's helped us a lot as a team, just to, come back together and get on the same page and, like just understand that we have only a few games left. And after that, we're hoping to, dominate in Brooklyn and go to March Madness. So this was just a good time, to figure things out and understand that we got to finish out strong, like you said.
Right, right. So I want you to play a little bracketology with me.
Yeah.
Right? Richmond is one of those teams in first place, and you only face them once. They won a close one. Loyola is coming up this week. You haven't played them yet. Then you have VCU, who beat you, I think, by 2.
Yeah.
And that's going to be your season finale. Okay. So right now, most bracketologists are saying you guys are going to get 1 or 2 teams in. What of those 3 teams I just mentioned, or maybe there's even another one you might think might sneak in there. How many teams do you think the A10 is going to get in?
Yeah. If I'm being honest, I'm worried about my team. Like I want to make sure, we finish strong and we're able to make it. But other than that, I think Loyola, they've been playing really, really well. So, if they're, obviously we got them coming up, so I don't want to give them too much props, but they're playing well, and Richmond as well. They beat us, and they're a really good team. Just seeing them from playing against them and everything. So I think between those 2 teams, possibly, they can, make a what do you call it?
A run?
Yeah, maybe go to March, but for now, I'll focus on the Dayton Flyers. So I'm just trying to make sure that we're able to make it there.
I gotcha. The commissioner of the conference is wants to see you guys get as many as possible. And right now, ESPN, for example, saying Richmond's going to be the other team getting in. So we shall see. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will be interesting. It will.
And one team I think that has underachieved, and I thought would be better than they are, is St. Joe's.
Yeah. I'm not too sure what happened there, but I know, before A10 play, that's one of the teams that we kept our eyes on. And we're like, yeah, this is going to be a tough one.
They almost beat Kentucky at Kentucky. They took them to overtime. Yeah, and seems since conference play I don't know why, but all right. Last question. What are you like off the court other than school and basketball? What are some of your interests? How do you spend your time?
Honestly, a lot of my time, I spend with my teammates, my girlfriend, and I'm a really chill dude. Like I love basketball, so the majority of the time that's what I'm doing. Either playing basketball or watching basketball. But other than that, I just like spending time with people that I'm close with, watching movies, playing. I play a little bit of video games, not too much, but just so that's something that me and my teammates get to do. So just try to keep a level competition off the court too.
No, that's good. I mean, for me, it's like eat, sleep, and basketball.
Yeah, exactly. There's not much more needed than that. So.
Right. All righty, Koby. I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today, and please come back and visit us in the future, especially if you decide to test the NBA waters this spring. We'd love to.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So if you do decide to do that, love to, like maybe check in with you, like while you're at a combine and see how it's going, stuff like that.
Cool. For sure.
All right.
It's a pleasure to be here, man. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Tell Duran I said hello, and I wish you and the rest of the team the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
That's a joke. We don't have makeup here. ESPN does. We don't. All right. So, all right. Our second guest today is Appalachian State junior forward Tre'von Spillers, who ranks 12th in the nation with a field goal percentage of 63.2 and is a Player of the Year candidate in the Sun Belt Conference. Tre'von ranks in the top 10 of the Sun Belt for field goal percentage, rebounds per game at 8.4, blocks per game at 1.4, offensive rating, which he's top in the conference at that, defensive rating, player efficiency rating, win shares. Again, you're top in the Sun Belt for win shares, and plus minus at 5.2. The Mountaineers are 22-5 on the season and are currently leading the Sun Belt by 1 game over James Madison and Troy. Welcome to the show, Tre'von. How you doing today?
Doing good, and you?
I am doing pretty good. Pretty good. We have at least one thing that ties us together in that we both currently live in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I'm in North New Jersey, the nice part of New Jersey, the only nice part of New Jersey. And of course, you're in Boone, North Carolina, in the very western part of North Carolina. So how's the weather down there?
It's good. It's shaky. It depends on the day. Depends on the day you want to have snow or you want to be cold. It depends.
Yeah, I noticed when I was looking up Boone, I saw pictures of ski resorts. Are they anywhere near the campus?
Yeah, we actually went snow tubing as a team activity.
Nice. Have you ever been on skis or a snowboard?
Nah.
Okay. That can't be easy when you're like as tall as you. You need a low center of gravity, I think. But anyway, all right. So as a freshman and sophomore, you played at the JUCO level. How did you end up at App State? And did you know where it was when they first contacted you?
Nah, I didn't know. I never actually heard of App State until they talked to me. I didn't know much about them. And they recruited me my last year. Out after a game, they were the assistant coach texting me and just was sharing this info with me. And then I said like a week or so later, I got an offer from him.
Nice. And for those who haven't seen you play, how would you describe your game?
Very high motor player. Just doing what I got to do to help my team win. Whether it's blocking shots, getting offensive rebounds, getting defensive rebounds, and just attacking the glass, attacking the paint, doing everything I can do.
Right. And, looking at your synergy numbers, you rank at the 97th percentile, and this is all Division I, for overall points per possession. So that means I don't know how many players, but it's probably at least 3,000. So that means 97% of them are below you. And then you're 99th for points per possession in transition. The only play where I noticed you struggled was in the pick and roll, specifically picking and popping. As a JUCO player, you shot around 30% from deep, but at App State, you've only taken 11 jumpers. So obviously your role has changed a little bit. Is that the next phase of your development to work more jump shots into the game?
Yeah, that's all gonna come in the summer, over the summer. Right now is just keep playing my role just to help us win, not do anything out of my role.
Right. And that makes sense. But, as you said, you're high motor, athletic. I forgot to look this up, but you're probably near the top 2 in dunks among you. I'd say you're probably top 40 at least in dunks. But anyway, you're athletic, 6'7", 210-pound forward. Those measurements about right?
Yeah.
And so ultimately, I mean, I know you don't want to think too far ahead, but ultimately, what kind of player do you see you becoming? I think you could be far more versatile in what you do.
Yeah, I could be. I feel like once I develop my jumper a little more, I'll be a little more better, a little more efficient offense because I can be able to move around more instead of just being in the paint. I can be able to spread it out some, so that opens up our offense.
Right. And you're also a lefty, which usually gives you somewhat of an advantage, because people are used to defending righties. So moving on to the team, you were one of 3 Mountaineers who are averaging in double figures, with the others being wing Donovan Gregory and shooting guard Terrence Harcum. Am I getting that name right?
Yeah.
And then Gregory and Miles Tate kind of run the show. Harcum is the top threat from deep. You do the work in the paint in terms of rebounding, shot blocking, scoring, and then Justin, is it Abson? Abson. Okay. He's a sophomore and he's been providing elite rim protection. He's averaging over 3 blocks per game. So, and I believe everybody but Donovan can come back next year. So how did I do summing up the team, and what would you like to add about, the different pieces that make up what a team that's 22-5?
I'll say another small piece, Jordan Marsh, the freshman. He comes in, plays not a lot of minutes, but he's very productive when he does come in the game. So I say he's another big reason why our record is what it is right now. He's very helpful. Chris Mantis, he is too. Xavier. I feel like everyone has their part of why we're where we at right now. It's not. I feel like no one's singled out. Everyone has their reason of why we are who we are.
Right. And how deep would you say you go? 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, I'll say 9. Yeah, about 9 deep. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So in the Sun Belt, the Mountaineers lead the conference in rebounding, shot blocking, defensive efficiency, and you're also third in turnover percentage. On the other hand, the team ranks 5th in offensive efficiency, which isn't bad, but 9th in 3-point percentage at 32.5. So at this point of the season, you're not going to change who you are, obviously. So how comfortable is the team, kind of letting the defense carry the load? Or I just give you an example. I just talked to PJ Hall at Clemson, and they've had one of their best outside shooters been out all season, and he might come back, for the tournament. And so do you have, is there one thing, have you seen the team progress offensively, or is there something, maybe somebody sitting on the bench who maybe isn't healthy that might come off the, improve, or is it just going to be kind of your defensive team this year and that's the way it's going to go?
Yeah, I say our defense is what leads our offense. We play hard on defense. We get down, we get dirty on defense, and that just leads to our offense. Rather, we make teams. We feel like if we get teams into the half court, we can stop their offense and we can just push in transition and play fast and get back on defense, do the same thing again.
Right. And as I said, you're one of the top scorers in the whole entire country in terms of scoring in transition. So how much talk has there been about you being a Player of the Year candidate in the Sun Belt?
I watch rewatch the games and I hear the commentator say it, but I try to block it out really. I don't want to really listen to it, honestly, because I feel like if I listen to it too much, it kind of takes me away from the bigger picture. So I feel I try to stay away from it. I want to just focus on us and winning a conference championship and going to the tournament.
Right. So bear with me on this one. This is kind of a pet peeve of mine that always drives me crazy at March. So I'm kind of going to talk a little bit more about your team, and then I want you to comment. But right now, you guys are in a great position to make the tournament. All your remaining regular season opponents have a losing record. Unfortunately, the Sun Belt is one of those conferences that typically only gets one bid, which to me doesn't seem fair. I think that, when you look at the mid-major conferences, I think St. Mary's and Dayton, okay, they don't have the pressure to have to win their tournament. They're probably in no matter what. But then you look at all these teams, and how many do I have listed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 teams that have had tremendous seasons. And I don't even have James Madison listed, but I could even list them. I have you guys, Drake, Indiana State, Southern Florida, Grand Canyon, McNeese State, and Princeton. All have great seasons. And you're all, according to the bracketologists, have to win your tournament to get in. I personally rather see a team like Appalachian State play over the 6th or 7th best team in a power conference like Seton Hall or something like that. With all that said, what would you tell the committee why they should consider App State, even if you wouldn't win the Sun Belt Conference?
I feel like we can just play against. I feel like we can play against anybody. Well, for example, Auburn. For example, we there's nothing really much said to it. We beat them in our home house, and I feel like we can beat anybody else. We played great. We played James Madison on national TV. We beat them twice. We went down there, played in a tough environment, beat them there again. I feel like we just as great as any other team, Power Five or not. I feel like we can compete against anybody.
Right. And I'll tell you what, I looked at each one of those teams, including St. Mary's and Dayton. I looked at all their best wins. I listed them out. I had a whole full sheet of paper. Your win over Auburn was the best win. And here's what really drives me crazy. You haven't beaten James Madison once. You beat him twice, but the computers still have James Madison ahead of you guys. Come on. How can you trust the computer when you've beaten them twice? I mean, all right. See, I get upset about this. All right. So having to win the conference tournament is a lot of pressure, especially when your conference features a good team like James Madison, Troy, Louisiana, Southern Miss. That in the tournament is held in Florida, so no real home court advantage there. And you guys being, you're going to be a top 4 seed, so you're going to get the double bye. Having said all that, what gives you the confidence that you can run the table for 3 straight games, and bring it home and make the big dance?
Our defense alone, we know that we can stop any team's actions. Any team that we play against, we can stop their actions. So I feel like our defense alone is what's going to help us win, because this is going to help us win games regardless. So as long as we go into the tournament with the mindset that like we want to win this, and we just got to play our defense, I feel like it's going to take care of it. Everything else will take care of itself.
All righty. So in your travels this year, your first year in D1, who was the most fun player? And it could be in conference, but who was the most interesting or the most challenging or just the most fun player to match up against?
I would say fun player to match up against.
Well, it wouldn't have to be fun. Maybe it was just a challenge or something where, I mean, like Auburn has like a bunch of bigs.
I would say that was a tougher challenge because because they're already bigger than me. They're bigger, and like some of them were stronger than me. So I actually had to guard one of them in the post, and he actually scored on me. So I mean, it was a challenge, but it just showed me I got to get stronger on my part and get a little bigger on myself. So that's all.
Right. Yeah, I think Dylan Cardwell on their team is 7 foot, and he's probably listed at 250. He's probably closer to 300. The guy's huge. But anyway, all right. So lastly, let's talk about you a little bit off the court. What's your major? What are your interests? And do you watch much hoops outside of film study?
My major is professional studies, so it's like in the same field like architecture. I watch a lot of hoops. I watch hoops with my teammates a lot. We watch college, we watch NBA. Whenever we have the free time to watch it, we'll watch games. We'll watch them together. We'll probably go to Don's crib and we'll just watch games over there, just chill out.
Okay. And how about other interests? A lot of guys tell me video games, but do you have any other, like a lot of guys are into music and even play instruments. I'm surprised, but you have any interests like that?
Not instrument wise, but we'll play the game. I'll sit and listen to music whenever I'm just laying down by myself. I'll listen to music. I'll also watch a lot of TV too. Like I watch a lot of TV series whenever I'm bored, laying in my room.
What kind of series do you like?
Like Power. We watch Power. What else?
You watch Snowfall?
That too. I watch Snowfall. I watch what else? I mean, they haven't really been coming out with new seasons.
No, I know they haven't. There's like
sometimes I'll go back and just rewatch the old stuff if I get bored.
Right. I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you. Especially in the summer, I got a lot of downtime, and so I watch a bunch of series, and now I go back to Netflix every once in a while when I'm tired of watching. Like I've watched 4 straight basketball games, and I need a break. And I'm like, there's nothing new here. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
All right, Tre'von. I want to thank you for being on the show today, and I wish you and the team the best for the remainder of the season. And I'm not just saying that, that I want you guys to make it. It just seems so unfair when a team like McNeese or you, or you've done so well all season, and then they still make you have to win 3 games, in your tournament. And I don't see why when the team finishes like 6th or 7th in the Big East or whatever, they're not the best team in the country. I mean, they couldn't even get in the upper half of their conference. So why are we including those teams?
Yeah.
So,
That's how
all right.
college basketball works. But
Yeah, unfortunately. All right, buddy. It was a pleasure meeting you, and please come back in the future. You're only a junior, so we could talk again.
yes, sir. Well, dude, appreciate you for having me.
All right. Thank you. Our next special guest is Nevada sophomore forward Nick Davidson, who's helped lead the Wolfpack to a 23-6 record this season. After starting just once as a freshman, Nick has been in the starting lineup for all 29 games so far this season, and he is averaging 12.2 points, 7.5 rebounds, 1.3 assists, and a combined 1.4 steals and blocks per game. The 6'9" forward currently ranks in the top 10 of the Mountain West for true shooting percentage at 63.2, free throw percentage at 75.7, rebounding percentage at 15.5, offensive rating 128.1, defensive rating 97.8, player efficiency rating at 22.3, win shares at 4.3, and plus minus at 4.2. Nick, did you know you were in the top 10 in all those categories?
I had no idea. I didn't even know what a lot of those stats meant.
Well, most of them are overall metrics, except for the first couple of 3. The true shooting percentage, the foul percentage, and the rebounding percentage are pretty much self-explanatory. Offensive rating is kind of, I believe, what the team produces when you're on the court offensively per 100 possessions. Also, defensive rating is what the team allows per 100 possessions. Player efficiency rating, often known as PER, is an overall metric. It's kind of like a fantasy number almost. And then you have win shares, which is basically another overall metric, but you don't get, you have to win to get win shares. So if you're on a losing team, it's going to be lower. And then plus minus is how you affect the game, when you're in there. So that's one of my favorites. Though it can be influenced if you have a certain type of rotation. But anyway, we won't dive into stats too much today. So I have my interview questions all lined up. All right. Turn on last night's game. And yeah, I was like, all right, gonna have to start over here. That was quite the game. I mean, it was wild, and also perhaps your biggest win of the season. Can you set it up and describe it?
I mean, just to top it all off, that shot it kind of describes how that game went. It was crazy environment, crazy crowd, and for Jared to walk us off like that on, it's very uncharacteristic of him to miss 3 free throws. So I think it's only right that he pulls up from half court and sinks that because
it gets those 3 points back.
Exactly. So I think it's pretty even in my book.
There's so many things, though. The reason why I thought it was super meaningful. So for you, what made that game? I think it's not just personally, like how you guys felt, elation, but also in terms of getting into the NCAA tournament. I thought there was a lot of impact there. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot on the line for both teams, kind of working our way up towards, hopefully first place in the conference, but them as well being 1 game back. it was really anyone's game. You know, they had the home court advantage, so our game plan was to, you know, kind of get on them early. They usually try to do that with people at their place. I believe they're 7-0 in conference at their home. So to be able to,
I thought they were undefeated on the season at home.
okay, see, I didn't know that, but I knew that they were. Yeah, I knew that they were 7-0 in the conference. So getting them to drop one at home is a big deal for us.
You guys are also, you know, at halftime, you guys are also undefeated when you have the lead at halftime. So you knew one of those streaks was going to end. So, you know, to me, what made it special, what not in addition to what you said, was first of all, it was this crazy scenario. Jared missing the 3 free throws and then, you know, making, what was that, 59-footer or something? I don't know. No, it wouldn't have been that far. Probably about a 48-footer, somewhere in there. But Keenan doesn't play.
Yep.
And everybody seemed to contribute. I thought Trey Coleman was huge in that game. So I would think that would be huge to win, to beat a team that hadn't lost at home without one of your star players. I thought that was huge. You said a lot about your team.
Absolutely. You know, we got a very special squad. I've been saying that we got a championship team. Like, this is what we've been building for. You know, I've played a lot with these guys for about 3 years now. This is my third year with a lot of these guys. You know, even though I redshirted that year, I still practice with them. But, you know, when one guy goes down, we all have, you know, collective belief, you know, next guy up. And, you know, people stepping up into those roles, being able to contribute, just from off the bench, on the bench. And, you know, Hunter starting as our starting point guard did an amazing job. Hit 2 threes right off the bat, really set the tone for us.
Yes.
And then Trey hitting big shots, making great defensive plays, even though, you know, some calls didn't go his way towards the end on the defensive end. You know, he really hangs his hat on that end, and him being able to, you know, affect the game of both sides, defense and offense, was a huge factor of us winning.
That 5th foul on Trey was questionable, to say the least. You contributed, I believe, a dozen boards and some critical block shots, at least 2 you had last night. Yeah, there were so many contributions from so many different people. It's funny, the announcers said that, you know, they thought that Jared was going to have to get 30 to win. Yeah. And just the opposite happened. I mean, he still ended up with 20-some, but still, I mean, it was more of a collective effort. It wasn't just Jared. So, the other thing, you know, you talked about how raucous it was there. Sometimes I couldn't hear the announcers.
I know, yeah.
All I heard was noise.
Yeah, that's what we live for, you know, big stages like that, hostile environment, hostile crowd. And it's been a while since we had played in Colorado State. It was personally my first time. I know it was Jared's first time, having come from Oregon State and a few other guys, but you know, we didn't get to play there last year. Going to go play there this year was, I mean, awesome experience.
Right. So one more thing I want to ask you about last night, and this is actually moving forward. How is Keenan? You know, he looked like he was walking around pretty well. Is he expected back pretty soon?
I can't really speak on that. I know it's game to game. That's sort of a coach and player question along with the trainers. But, you know, I saw him in the training room today. He looked great. I was doing rehab personally too. You know, who knows? He could be back for next game.
Right. Okay. Well, good enough. Trevor can back me up on this. Last year, I was watching you guys, and I basically pointed him out to you. I didn't even know your name. It was kind of like one of those things. Is like, who's that crazy, energetic, physical guy? I really like him. So, you know, and toughness too. And this season, though, it's obvious that you're much more than just an energy guy, just a rebounder. And so, other than just playing 10 more minutes per game this season, which you are, how would you describe your transition and development from your freshman being a role player to now being a highly productive sophomore starter?
You know, I would say it was kind of gradual. It all comes from the work that I put in every day in the off season too. You know, it really builds on each other. So being able to see that work come to fruition and, flourish on multiple stages and being able to, contribute to my team, most importantly to winning, being a 23-6 team. I mean, that's an amazing accomplishment in itself from us and the guys. But, seeing that work is showing off and finally, coming out for everyone to see, it's a great feeling.
But what you just think it was just a natural progression of, you just getting more experience, you maybe getting a little stronger, and just kind of just growing into your role.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say it happened, overnight. This is, like a lot of just work every day, building on each other. So, obviously, like time helps. Being able to adjust to pace of the game. I know my redshirt year, that was a big thing for me. I couldn't dunk off 2 feet. Like you ask any of the coaches, I could not dunk. I was a 1-footed jumper. I could not dunk off 2 feet. And getting in the gym with Eck, working on my body, working on my quickness, and then, continually working on my game and building up that confidence through work. It's just been, it's really helped me.
Right. So as I mentioned at the top, the overall metrics love you because of your efficiency. In addition to the numbers I mentioned up there, you rank at the 96th percentile of all Division I players for points per possession. And in terms of play types, you're above the 72nd percentile for things like post-ups, cuts, pick and rolls, putbacks, transition. Those are the types of numbers you would typically see from your profile. If I didn't know you, I would say that's a rim running big, but you're not a rim running big. You're more than that, or maybe different than that. So how would you describe your game to people who haven't seen you play?
I would say, I kind of let the game dictate what I'm doing that night. If a team is guarding me a certain way, I'll go out, step outside, shoot a 3. If not, they close out hard, drive. I've never been the type of player to force shots necessarily, or just take a shot that I know I can't make, or every shot I take, I feel like I'm gonna make it and it's gonna go in. I put in plenty of reps for that to go in. So just kind of letting the game come to me, whatever has happened to that game, whatever is open, I seem to take, and having that confidence to step up and the plate and make it. It's very important.
Right. Interestingly, the Mountain West this season doesn't really feature any star centers, star 7-footers. Instead, the conference is loaded with a lot of talented power forwards, and I'll list off a handful. You got New Mexico's JT Toppin, UNLV's Caleb Boone, Utah State, Great Osborne, San Diego State, Jaden Ledee, but got Boise State, Tyson Degenhart, and Omar Stanley. So where do you fit into that group? And who has impressed you the most that you've gone up against this season?
I mean, those are all great players. I mean, I would say my name is definitely in the conversation with them. As of who surprised me, I would say, I've always liked Degenhart's game for Boise. He's a very patient big. I think I can, take a lot of what he plays and attributes to his game to my game. But yeah, very patient in the post, plays at his own pace regardless of, you send a double at him, just calm, gets it out and kind of takes, I like how efficient he is as well too.
Right.
But, he's been doing that since freshman year. I had a sideline seat while he was playing his freshman year while I was redshirting. So, I got to watch him play and kind of develop into the player that he is. As far as other players, Jade on the D, he's a force. He, I believe his dad actually played at Nevada with my dad. So that's yeah. And, but just to see him go from a role player last year, I think he was around like 6-7 points, and being able to contribute to a national runner-up team in a great program, him being able to flourish and average 20 a game last time we played him.
Yeah,
20,
he's close, yeah.
Multiple double doubles. and kind of really carry that team to what it is now, being a dominant force in our conference. I would say both those guys in particular, stand out to me.
Okay. And I think if I had to pick, Tyson Degenhardt's game would be the game that reminds me, the most of yours, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So in the midst of a season where every game is extremely important, you talked about, developing over time. Do you get any time to actually work on your game, like to like say, I want to do this better, I want to do this better? Do you actually get any time to do that?
Yeah, every day. I mean, I work on the same stuff every day, and then if I see something in the game that's open, or based off like last time we played them, they were guarding this way, these shots are going to be open because this is the way they're guarding me, I'll go rep that out. But as far as adding stuff to my game, I would say just kind of try and keep it very simple, and that's what helps me be efficient.
Love your coach.
Yeah, and my coach puts me in great positions for scoring. So that too.
Your coach couldn't shoot it into the ocean if he was standing in a boat.
No, I've seen that guy come straight off the golf course, 43 free throws in a row in front of a bunch of. Yeah, it was crazy.
No, in all honesty, your coach was one of the greatest shooting guards to ever play in the Big Ten. So what is the next phase of your development? I mean, long term. I mean, something that maybe you plan on working on this summer.
Working on the summer. I mean, continue to do what I'm doing. My 3-point percentage is taking a little dip this year as opposed to last year. So dialing that back down to, I'm a 40% 3-point shooter. I believe that. It's on my heart. My coach believe that. My teammates believe that. So repping that out this summer and like making sure the numbers speak for them, speak for what we believe, then I would say that's probably the next step in my development.
Did you, I noticed that when you shoot off the dribble or when you catch the ball around your waist, your motion is a little different if you catch it high, like, at your chest or shoulders. Are you fighting an old habit of dipping?
Yes. Yeah. When I was, I think most basketball players, when they're first learning to shoot, they're not strong enough to shoot from deep. But so just kind of going back to my form. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something that I've been working on to change.
Well, what I notice is when you catch it high, it's not so much that you dip it far, but you pause. It's almost like you're thinking, I don't want to dip. And, and then you shoot, So, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad I'm not crazy about that. I am certainly not a shot expert, like your coach, but I just happened to notice that.
Yeah, he's helped a lot too, breaking my shot down.
Yeah. And what a great asset that is. So the team has had some really good wins this season, including last night. You also had a victory over TCU in the Diamond Head Classic. You won at Washington. You guys hit a rough patch in January, and you lost 4 of 5 games. Since then, though, you've won 7 of 8. You got victories at Utah State, at UNLV, at Colorado State, and you beat San Diego State at home. Over that span, you scored 19 points 5 times, with a season high 25 at Utah State. What has been the difference lately for you and the team? I
would just say aggression. I talk to my coaches. I always ask them what I can do more, especially when we were on that losing streak. What else can I do? What else can I do? And a lot of them said, be aggressive. We need a third scoring option. And I want to say I forced anything. But being more aggressive, I think I'm naturally an unselfish player. So if I have the shot, I'm going to take it. And if not, then I'm going to run the offense and make sure that our team gets a good shot. So I would just say it's all been in, my head, just kind of going out there and applying the work that I put in necessarily.
And for the team, not just you personally, but for the team, I mean, during this, that streak's incredible. Those 3 road wins and beating San Diego State at home. I mean, that's quite the accomplishment. So is there something different about the team too, in addition to yourself?
I mean, we got a special group of guys here. This is probably the closest team and my most favorite team that I've played in college since I've been here. We all, really care about each other. We all want each other to succeed. So I think that just collective focus of, we want to be conference champions. I think that was kind of hindered when we had that losing streak. So we collectively came together and say, hey, this needs to change. And I would say that was kind of spearheaded by, our captains, Keenan and Jared, coming together and saying, Keenan kept saying, yeah, we're not losing in February. Unfortunately, we lost a game by 1 to New Mexico. So that was a hiccup there. But other than that, we've stayed true to that, continuing to win out.
Right. So this has to have been a crazy season for not just you, but just for your coaches, because every day for the last month, we've heard something different. Earlier this month, one day you were in the tournament, the next day you were out. And now you're seemingly, in good shape, but they still say you're on the bubble no matter what you do. It doesn't seem to matter. They're still on the bubble. I don't know what you have to do. Beat the Lakers. But as of now, 7 Mountain West teams have 500 records or above, and only 2 separate the top 6. So most experts are saying, you're in, but they're still calling you a bubble team. So apparently there's little room for error. By the way, you ready for this? Yeah. I'm glad you're sitting down. ESPN says Colorado State is a 7 seed, and you guys are a 10 seed. You've beaten them twice.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, and like I said, it's just craziness. How weird this bracketology stuff is. So, do you guys hear much of that? Do you think much about that? Do you feel the pressure?
I mean, I wouldn't say we feel pressure at all. Last year, we were in a similar situation, 3 weeks going into the season. They're like a lock for the tournament, this, that, and we kind of fell apart. So I think that goes with a lot of our returners, that maturity. Let's not leave a doubt in people's mind. Let's not leave it to having to go to Dayton to play a playing game. So let's finish this season off strong so that, we don't have to rely on people to make decisions, where we control our own destiny by just winning out and doing what we're supposed to do.
And I would think you should, you have 2 games left, if I'm correct, right? You have Boise State, and then a home contest versus UNLV. 1-1 so far against those teams. So you would seem to control your own destiny. Last year, I interviewed Keenan around this exact same time of year, and I felt I would never be asked back, because that's when you guys actually went on your skid. And I thought it was like bad luck or something. But so last year the team was in a similar position. I think you're actually in a little better shape this year. But I remember talking to Keenan, and I think I was feeling pretty confident you guys were going to, get in and better than the playing game. So sorry for all the eloquence there, but you, Keenan, Jared, Trey are all back. Will Baker's gone. Deron Williams transferred as well. How would you describe the difference between these 2 teams? And what is it about this team that you feel that you won't go on that skid again?
Despite us losing some key players last year, I felt that people that stepped up and took their roles and kind of transformed this team to what it is today. They've done a good job so far. So,
what is difference between this year's squad and last year's squad? So that gives you confidence that you won't repeat that late season skid.
Just experience. All the guys that are on the court remember what happened last year, remember the feelings that went along with it. So, learning from our mistakes is, we're here to prove that we learned from our mistakes last year.
Right. And I think that, a lot of people underestimate that force, that driving force. Think about Virginia when they lost, when they were the first team ever to lose as a 1 seed. Next year, what do? They win the national championship. Yep. Keep that in mind as you move forward. So I know we touched on it just a little bit before when we were talking about last night, but not counting yourself, Keenan, Jared, and Trey, who would you think is a secret weapon on this year's squad that maybe didn't get a lot of playing time last year for whatever reason, injury or whatever?
I mean, we got, KJ's a great force. He draws a lot of fouls. And then Daniel, he's really stepped up into a great role, provides us with also great efficiencies and numbers. But, yeah, and then Hunter. Hunter, too, out of injury, too, hitting threes. We have a great group of guys. We're a very deep team, and even the guys who don't get minutes that much anymore, they can all really go and put in work, and they can really score the basketball too. So we got a really deep team.
Okay. All right. So last question. I know both of your parents attended Nevada, and so it was probably a no-brainer that you attended Nevada. But personally, what do you like off the court? What are some of your interests? I know you're a diligent student, for example. What's your major?
International business. So
interesting.
And marketing.
Wow. So. What are you interested in and off the court? Recreationally.
Recreationally, I mean, I grew up in Southern California. I love to surf. I love the beach. Outside. So, I do that every time I'm back. That's the first thing I do when I get back is go in the water, surf with my friends or my dad, and then and then professionally, after basketball, I was looking to maybe become a lawyer, go to law school. Obviously, I can't do that while playing basketball. That's
right. Of course,
not going to happen. But we'll put that off until after basketball.
Okay. All righty. Well, it was great talking to you, Nick, and I appreciate the time today. I wish you and the rest of the team, good luck and continued success because you're on a hot streak for the rest of the season. And please, come back and visit us in the future when you have some time.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. And tell Coach to forgive me for my joke because I definitely would love to talk to Coach one day.
I got you. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, Trevor.
I'll see ya.
All right. It was great talking to Nick. It was great talking to Tre'von. It was great talking to Koby. As always, I want to thank all of our listeners and, of course, our special guest today. If you ever miss an episode, you can get caught up at hoopsprospects.com. Also, if you'd like to send us a question for the mailbag, please email it to admin@hoopsprospects.com. We also take questions via social media on Twitter @hoopsprospects, on Instagram @thehoopsprospects, and on Facebook @hoopspros. We will be back next week with a usual episode, I believe. The college hoops notebook, stock report, and so forth, more bracketology, all that good stuff. So assuming that goes to plan, I know many things I say don't always come to volition, but just things change around here because we get an opportunity to interview this person, or we end up attending this game, or what have you. We got a lot of moving parts, and everything has to come together just so we can produce this type of show we want to produce. All right, so we will see you next week, folks.